Well, hey there, folks. Welcome back to the One Eyed Podcast, the only show hosted by a man with half the vision, but twice the determination to do household projects the wrong way first. I'm your host, Pappy Lozano, and today's episode is all about snow, neighbors, and some marital advice and survival tips. That's right, we're talking battery-powered snowblowers. I know some of y'all are thinking, Pappy, battery powered? Ain't that like making sweet tea with Splenda? Well, I tend to agree with my horsepower-loving patriots that there's nothing like the sound of a good air-aspirated, piston-driven engine. I also agree that having snow depart through the chute of a good snowblower at unimaginable speeds tends to give one a sense of power over the elements that have been so precariously dropped onto our driveway or sidewalks. Although this may seem that I have settled into a more appreciative and accepting role of the electrically powered devices, I am holding fast to my loyalty of 2- and 4-cycle driven contraptions such as my lawnmower, garden tiller, and lawn care tools such as my weed whacker and chainsaw. Now, before you judge me, I only ask that you just hang tight. That's 'cause this story's got horsepower, humility, and a little husbandly wisdom sprinkled in like ice melt on icy porch steps. Let me start by saying this. Snow looks real pretty with its burl lives picturesque and gleaming shine in the morning sunrise's exposure. That splendor of white cleanliness and seeing those tiny footprints of deer, squirrels, and rabbits and other varmints that happen to track across that landscape littered with that fresh virgin snow. It's a sight that's so endearing as you view it from the inside of your home, just sipping from your cup filled with your favorite morning beverage. That is, until you turn to see the encroachment that it's made onto those little steps of your property, also known to you as your driveway, front porches, and sidewalks. Then it becomes nature's version of unpaid labor. Now, before every winter, I tend to tell myself the same lie. This year, Pappy, you're gonna be prepared. Every year during the fall season, I take every precaution to have at least 2 snow shovels standing at the ready on each side of my garage door, and at least one leaning against the front door and back porch to combat the pile of cold white nuisance and hopefully make myself be as efficient as possible in its removal. I'll invest in a pallet of salt at the ready, which only lasts me a few weeks during the heaviest snow accumulations, in hopes this deters any slips or falls from yours truly or my beautiful, appreciative wife. Nothing is more embarrassing than performing a Linus flip, as in the Peanuts cartoon, due to the slick and invisible layer of ice hidden at times underneath that beautiful snow. However, as the years have passed me by, my ability to push and lift these tools of snow removal has depleted my physical and emotional desire to try to keep myself in shape enough to go out and impress my amazing wife enough so as to find favor in her eyes that I am still a tool she should keep around for my handiness in keeping her from battling this intrusion of nature both in its cold environment and in the physicality needed to remove the sprinkling of that good old thick layer of snow. which is why I convinced myself to buy this fancy battery-powered snowblower from my Ace hardware dealer. Quiet, clean, futuristic, like a Toyota Prius with a bad attitude. My thinking was that maybe I could start much earlier and not disturb our neighbor's slumber. I also wanted to make sure to get my snow removal chore done before my wife's departure out into the frozen roadways on her way to open her salon. But in all honesty, what my thought process was to simply have a snow removal tool that was rated at a high-powered, reliable, and free of making trips to the corner gas station to fill my winter gas can out in the bitter cold. After talking it over with my local hardware professional, he assured me that this particular model would satisfy all that criteria, and he claimed it could throw snow 40 feet. Heck, I can't even throw a football that far anymore. But by golly, I was excited. My wife was too, mostly because it meant I wouldn't be using her hairdryer to thaw the steps again. Long story, but don't judge me. Alright, now let's begin, okay? If you can, picture this. It's the first snowfall of the season. Everything's white. The trees, the yard, the mailbox, and all items left outside, whether by accident or on purpose. I step out into the garage like a man on a mission. I got my boots, my coat, and my one eye squinting like Clint Eastwood in a Western, and I'm feeling all powerful, like Pappy powered up with spinach. Of course, I substitute spinach with my morning portion of some good old hot oatmeal. Proceed to move my new snowblower in towards the middle of the garage, so I had room to jump aside should something go awry. And if you followed me long enough, you know that's always a possibility. So there I am, all ready. I raised the garage door, took a good look at the chore I was about to take on, and I can feel the juices flowing to get out into the driveway and begin my battle against that first snowfall. Hands on the handle and my excitement filling up my inside, I decided that it was now or never. So I shut my good eye, pressed the button, and instead of hearing a roar like the gas-powered beast it should be, it just sits there. Kind of like my dog, Biscuit, after he takes over my chair. You know, like when you want to watch your favorite show and it seems like our pets decide it's an opportune time to plant themselves right where you'd like to sit. One just has to love our pets' instincts to warm up our seats for us until they're ready to give up access to our seat. Anyway, getting back to my new electric snow removing tool, I stood there just scratching my head, trying to figure out why it wouldn't start up. Of course, wouldn't you know it, yours truly had tossed the startup instructions. With today being Tuesday and the trash day is on Mondays, those instructions, of course, were long gone. Well, I muttered, "Bah humbug." And just then, I remembered that I'm a true patriot, and I don't need no instructions for myself. Of course, I never said anything about asking the wife to do a gaggle search, also known as Google searching, on how to get it going. One has to keep his reputation of being instruction celibate and a self-learning patriot. Well, my wife would tend to say I'm just instruction illiterate. Well, now one has to take their choice of my particular descriptive definition based on either coming from yours truly, which I'll call a patriot's point of view, or my better half's description of my lack of following or utilizing written instructions, which I tend to think may be based on her years of experience I may have demonstrated due to my lack or refusal to read or follow printed instructions or follow and use GPS. Well, anyway, after a few minutes of waiting on my wife to look up all the needed information in her gaggle search, and me pleading with her to share the newfound knowledge with me, I took her verbal instructions and tried again. And just like that, it goes whirr, like a hair salon on wheels. The blades are spinning and ready to toss some snow. Yee-haw! Quietest dadgum machine I'd ever heard. I didn't know whether I would be clearing the driveway or making smoothies. But I tell you what, that little thing had power. It shot that wet, sticky snow like it was mad at it. I have to admit, my fellow patriots, I was feeling pretty good. I mean, there I was, just a clearing snow faster than my wife could find things for me to do. And then my neighbor shows up. Yes, I'm talking about my neighbor Earl. You know Earl, the man whose whole personality is his gas-powered tools, or at least borrowing any of mine to keep his hours down on his equipment. He struts over like a man who smells a challenge, hands in pockets, mustache glistening, judgment in his eyes, and that premonition that makes my hands twitch and my belly growl, because I know that he's going to be asking me to use my new electric snowblower. He goes, "What you got there, Pappy? That a battery snowblower?" He said battery like he was saying tofu steak. I said, "Yep, thing's quiet, clean, and throws snow like it hates winter as much as I do." Well, Earl scratches his head and says, "But does it, work?" Well, just about then, the snowblower launches a cloud of powder that smacks him square in the face like a frosty slap from a snow angel. He wipes his glasses and goes, "Well, I'll be danged. That thing's got some sass to it." Next thing I know, he's asking to try it. And just like that, the man who mocked battery tools is giggling like a kid pushing a shopping cart with no parents around. I ain't seen him that happy since his wife let him buy a riding lawnmower he didn't even need. There he goes with clearing my sidewalk, his driveway, and half the block's driveway, leaving me to finish up my snow clearing with my snow shovel. Now you might be thinking, "Pappy, what's any of this got to do with being a good husband?" Well, let me break it down for you. Lesson number 1. Sometimes quiet things are powerful. Just like my snowblower, most times it's better to just listen more than we talk when it comes to our wives. Over the years, I've learned that my wife has her own language. Sometimes I think I'm able to decipher it, which will usually get yours truly in trouble. I've learned that my better half saying one thing, but meaning something totally different, is something my old Pappy told me would come about once I said the I do's. So here's my advice to those of you who are about to take on the matrimonial lifestyle, and I'm speaking more to my male counterparts here. Be ready to toss aside all the teachings of listening and doing what you think you hear your future missus verbally share. Take the time to ask what she's communicating, just to be sure you're both on the same page. A woman of such fine distinction as the lady you're about to betroth will revert to speaking a whole new language once the exchange of vows is completed. Be content to accept that it may take a lifetime to discern this new language, but also be assured that you'll find, just as I have, that there's not one day that goes by that I've ever regretted my decision to be blessed by my wife's beauty, patience, and wisdom. To us men, our wife's words may not always make sense, but as long as we can remember what it was that ignited our hearts to swoon over them, I assure you, things will work themselves out just fine. Lesson number 2, efficiency matters. Battery-operated snowblowers save time. Time you can use to make your wife a steaming cup of hot cocoa, or finally hang that shelf she's been talking about, or for whatever seems like forever. One of my favorite things to do after I wake up and before she does is to start the coffee maker and get her a nice steaming cup of her favorite morning beverage. I like to take it to her as she preps herself. If you ever think of doing this, I can almost guarantee that you'll be starting her day off with a sense of appreciation for what the good Lord has given her, a man who is loving and responsive to her needs. Now here's a bit of advice. Since you've already committed to delivering her that great morning beverage, why not take a moment and sit and talk with her? Now me personally, I probably wouldn't talk about the troubles of the world, because in all honesty, there's very little we can do to change the things that are out of our control. Instead, keep in mind that you're sitting in the sanctuary of your own home, a place that you should feel allows you to escape all that rhetoric and just relax with the partner the good Lord has blessed you with. Maybe you could converse about the good old days you both had in your youth, or share about the grandkids visit yesterday that brought you a smile as you watched them playing without a care in the world. Enjoy these precious times as they grow up faster than daylight on a winter's day. Or you could just listen to podcasts on Alexa together, like one from yours truly. Or take a moment to glance at each other's way, smile a bit, because you both know it's you against the world. And that teamwork and love is what makes your marriage so special and strong. Lesson number 3. Sharing tools makes good neighbors. Sharing chores makes good marriages. If I clear the driveway without being asked, my wife looks at me like I'm George Washington crossing the Delaware. And let me tell you, nothing warms a marriage faster than a husband who handles the cold without any expectations of thanks for doing so. Personally, in all our years of marriage, one thing I've learned is that it's not the big things that make my enduring wife come up behind me out of the blue and hug me. It's a response to taking the time to clean the restroom, vacuum the living room, or even making an attempt at making dinner so she wouldn't need to. Or maybe it's taking the trash down to the curb on Sunday night without her having to remind me. Sometimes, for no other reason than I simply feel that deep butterfly feeling for her, I'll just stop her while she's doing her thing and take her hand in mine, look her in the eye, and tell her there's no one I'd rather be with for all my remaining days than you. I swear there's been times I saw a tiny tear develop in her eye, as much as I'm sure she's seen one developing in mine. Said it before, and I'll say it again. Our wives are a response from the good Lord that us men may think we're born to be the hunter-gatherers, but the softness of our wives in our lives should remind us that God's grace is abundant. It's my belief that our spouses or partners in our lives reminds us that the good Lord is smiling down on us and letting us know no matter what, as long as we work together, there's nothing we can't overcome. Well, folks, that's it for today's Winter Wonderland Wisdom on the One Eye Podcast, Snow Business and Marriage Wisdom. Today we learned 1. Battery snowblowers are quiet but mighty. 2. Neighbors will judge you until they want to borrow your stuff. And 3. Marriage thrives when you do the jobs nobody wants, especially in the cold, and take the time to help each other out doing the little things with simplicity and grace. Now join me next week for episode 4, The Lost Screwdriver and Pappy's View on the Meaning of Life. A deep journey into why tools disappear, where socks go, and my perspective on how husbands can survive weekend chores. If today's episode put a smile on your face, then why not share this with friends or family? Remember to stay warm, stay humble, and as always, remember to be kind to one another, if only because you can be, and we all can be, always. God bless you, God bless your snowblowers, and God bless the United States of America.